Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Steven. Hey Bryan, you enjoyed the cold cut reaction so much, I'm submitting a band in the same genre. Please react to Astralasia, Hashishin. Hashishin? They are self-described as positive consciousness dance trance. This song masterfully pieces together samples with their own vocals and music. All right, let's dive into this Hashishin. Hashishin. I don't know where the emphasis goes on that. We're just going to roll with it. See what's going on with some Astralasia.
We must go back. We must go back. We must go back to the simple lesson in history. Every human being concerned enough, dedicated enough, and willing to make the sacrifice can change the world around them.
There is certainly a vastness to the harmonic quality. There's also a smoothness of transition from one chord to the next, which sort of implies a bit of microtonality. Instead of two exact points of harmony, it smoothly moves between them. Oh, but now we have this distorted sound that's very clear. Not only is it syncopated, but it's swipey. Not normally a way to describe sounds. Oh, the strings are interesting. The vocals and the strings are elevating something that already felt rather vast. It's the brightness of tone that we don't really have elsewhere on this track. The delay on that is pretty fun. It's a lot of layers. I think there's one more than the last time we were in this section, maybe the chorus we can call it. I like how the bass gives it a bounciness. Bum, 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 bum. It's a nice syncopation while still focusing on the bass kick or on the floor. All right. I do feel a little out of my depth here, simply because I don't know what to discuss here. On the one hand, this is a fairly straightforward dance track. We got a 4 on the floor beat. We got a bouncy bass that gives us a little bit of syncopation while still pushing forward that bass kick 4 on the floor. We got some chords and some sounds and some samples. And that's kind of about it. The energy, the vibe of this track doesn't really change much. Harmonically, we're looking at something completely locked in place. The melodies, I mean, they're ostinatos. We don't have any linear melodies because everything is sampled here. So we're looking at shorter melodic ideas repeated over and over and over, like the "to a better place." Like that's our only real melody on this track, and it's just this one. It's like a 2-bar idea, and it just repeats itself over and over and over. So, my usual talking points, I don't have much to add to this. Probably what you heard is similar to what I heard. But on the other hand, there's a lot of cool technical elements here. The usual stuff that I have to say about sample-based electronic music creation. I don't know that there's anything in particular about this song that I could bring up. I really feel like maybe having an electronic producer give some analysis on this would be more informational than what I can, given that this is so far outside of my realm of both composition and listening. Now, Stephen had mentioned that he requested this because I enjoyed the Cold Cut track. And for what it's worth, I did enjoy my time with this track. I think I would have enjoyed it more in a casual setting. If this came on at a club, probably would have been all over it. It's got a great beat, and it does have some very small changes throughout, which is kind of typical. You got to bring the energy down and then punch it back up. But most of those came in very predictable waves, and work really well for club atmosphere. But as for intentional listening, I don't know. I definitely reached a point when I wanted something else out of the track, and it's obvious that that's not what it was going to go for. And I think you may have noticed that my dancing enthusiasm dropped off a hair bit in the back half. Like I said, for a specific time and place, this is really great. Also, let me go back to this. Did Stephen mention a time? No. I'm going to go with 90s. I know that's a kind of a big era. not like calling a specific part of the 90s. We're looking at this whole 10-year gap. I primarily say that because my main exposure to dance music is 90s dance music through the soundtracks for Dance Dance Revolution, which is a video game with 4 arrows, and you step on the arrows as the game tells you to step on them, along to primarily electronic music. And since this series really dominated in the 90s, it's a lot of 90s electronic music. And I could see this song showing up. Granted, probably a much shorter version, as most tracks are like 90 seconds long. But I could see something like this showing up in Dance Dance Revolution. So I'm going to say 90s dance, or at least inspired by 90s dance. I'll probably look at that, not when I check for lyrics. I'll find a time to look that up. I don't have a natural place to pause and look up information today. Musically, it's dancey. We got the 4 on the floor beat. I had mentioned that harmonically it feels vast. There's an expansiveness element to it. It doesn't feel spacey because I think production-wise we're not looking at sounds that we typically associate with science fiction or with space, but that harmonically we are looking at something that to me explores larger ideas. And space is always one of the first things that comes to mind, though given the album art for this, it could also be the vastness of meditation, of consciousness, which, as Stephen had mentioned, that they self-describe as positive consciousness dance music. So I think that that idea in general does work. I feel a vastness within the chord progression. There is also a high reverb sitar-like instrument that comes in every once in a while. We have chimes that kind of, to me, have a pop culture element with, especially with high reverb, of meditation. And we have those vocal samples that I can't place culturally, but have a little bit of, it's a very little, no, I'm not going to say it because I don't feel like it's a core element. They do introduce to me some sort of meditative idea. I don't know why. I'm sure it's pop culture. It might even be stereotypical pop culture, which might not even be accurate at all. But it does seem like the song is pushing towards this idea of an opening of the mind. That's what I get through most of the music. Now, we do also have the chorus. The chorus has elevation to it. We have the strings that come in on the side. They, to me, lift the song up. There's a power or a greatness that comes through there. Something about that section just kind of feels like, straightening your back and tilting your chin up. Something about it just feels very prideful in a positive way. not a sinful way. We're not looking at the, pride as a sin. No, just like being very proud of something, a greater understanding. But we also have the vocals here. And they're also introducing a brighter tone alongside the strings. Everything else in here is a bit warmer, a bit muted. This is brighter, thinner, cuts through. Something about this section brought these two ideas together, these two instruments, the strings and the vocals, and we don't really hear them anywhere else. It makes the chorus a specific place of uplift. It is still paired with the exact same chords underlying, though. So, I don't know, a pride in opening of the mind. I don't know, feeling better about opening the mind, something along those lines of elevation. It might even just be consciousness elevation going on here too, where you can exist on a higher plane. I don't think I necessarily get that in particular, but I think that a generous read could easily support that with what the song is doing. That's pretty much all that stands out to me. Every time that we have a dip in energy, I don't think it's so much that the song is portraying themes that are opposite to expansion or rising up or higher plane existence, simply that it is doing what dance music does best, which is drop the music for a little bit before hitting a big moment and basically creating contrast so the song isn't just at a 10 the entire time. Drop it down a little bit, give you a couple beats to feel the impact as we dive back into a more driven section. So I don't think I can read much from that thematically, and that might just be my biases too. I expect dance music to do this, so I'm overlooking it. Without lyrics, though there are 2 sentences in here, which are something about looking back, I'll have to... Actually, I do need to look that up. There was a spoken word part at the beginning that I want to know, and I've forgotten what the chorus vocals were. I knew what they were at the beginning of this analysis segment, but it's completely slipped out of my brain. But yeah, that's about it for this track. There is, of course, the sample side. I'm going to keep this short because I feel like I've brought this up every time that we have samples, but I do continuously get, I don't know if excited is the right word for it, but I love hearing music like this, where I know that part of it is the beats that they've created, but there's also samples in here as well. And the thing is, once you bring samples in, samples have their own tuning. They have their own chords. Even if it's not chords themselves, it's a melody. That melody exists of notes. If the melody has 5 distinct notes in it, well, you got over half of a chord right there. If you're going to inject it on top of your own chord progression, you really got to check what notes are being sung on top of what chords underneath it and making sure that they all match and mesh and create the atmosphere you want them to. There's a lot that goes into, as far as I can tell, like having an encyclopedic memory of samples and just to kind of know, well, this one would fit really well with the music I'm making. Or maybe the inverse is true, where you take a sample and then you build a song around it, and then you find other samples that would fit in your song. It still kind of, it requires that knowledge though of, I'm going to assume that electronic musicians have sample libraries, just a folder of a bunch of samples that they've enjoyed or thought, I'll need this in the future, and kind of save all that and just have to know themselves what all the samples have. Maybe they have a way to database it to figure out the tempo and the key that a sample is in. And if they're making a song in D minor at 160 BPM, they can just search that up and filter out all their other samples to just ones that would fit. I don't know. I've never made music like this. I have no idea what the process is. And that's what interests me, because in a way, music isn't as magical as it was for me before I learned all of this. as is true with any skill, what seems really intricate on the outside, you begin to break down more and more and understand the process as you understand the craft. So electronic music, especially sample-based electronic music, is still kind of magical to me because one, it's so far distinct from what I do and what I understand music to be, at least the creative process, but it also just uses so many skills that I don't use in music, in my own music making. And so much of it feels magical. I don't have the understanding of the craft like I do with traditional composition. And so, yeah, it does feel magical to me. I listen to this and all I can think is, how did they do this? Which is not usually my reaction to music. Usually it's, oh, this is how they did it. This is probably what they meant by it. And based on how they did this and what they meant by that, I can construe that this might have been the themes they were trying to convey. You know, this is in a nutshell how I listen to music, particularly for the channel here with the, critical analysis mode on. It really is breaking down as many minute things and trying to figure out the reason behind them and then piecing that big story together. But when it comes to something like this, I don't know the process. And, it creates a type of music that I've never peeked behind the curtain of. So it still seems like magic to me. And I do enjoy that. Let me go look up the lyrics real quick just so I don't think I'm going to glean too much out of them, but I want to make sure that I'm not skipping over anything here. Well, as expected, there's not a lot of lyrics to this, but I actually want to talk about something else before we get to those lyrics. Steven had given me some additional context outside of what I had announced at the beginning of this video, and it's really interesting to help understand a lot of what's going on here. There is one vocalist who's in the band. It is the person who sings the line "To a Better Place." The feminine vocals there is a mainstay vocalist within the band themselves. Everything else is sampled here. It says that of the samples, of what's added, we have samples, we have chants, we have synths and drum machines, and occasionally this song has a little bit of piano or keyboard and a brief guitar passage as well. Also mentions that Astralasia is a New Age spiritual word that means the collective subconsciousness of humanity. This, I think, is really important for understanding this track. I had mentioned earlier on that there were a few different styles of music present here, that, a vast majority of it is this driving dance beat kind of stuff, but that I had noticed, and I couldn't quite place the sounds, but like there was a vocal sample in here that was from another culture. There is some harmonic devices in here from other cultures. And I think that's kind of the idea here, is to kind of present this unified form of music. I don't know that it completely hits that spot. It is still at its core dance music. It's very electronic based. Through that lens, it feels very Western to me. But it does try to incorporate sounds through the sample usage of a couple of other cultures, and I would like to see this pushed even further. I did mention, though, that this track also has some expansive themes to it, of understanding the self on other levels. And Hashishin means the eater of hashish, which is a souped-up version of marijuana typically used for euphoria or relaxation. And maybe that's what this track is attempting to explore, is this heightening of personal experience of life through expanding the horizons of meeting people from all over the place, while also using drugs to expand the mental scope as well. And I think the song, while I don't think it is a perfect encapsulation of those themes, I did feel them within it. Could the song have done a better job of well, maybe not necessarily the hashish side of things, but certainly the collective subconscious idea could have been elevated in a more artsy kind of work, maybe something a bit more experimental or progressive, I still think that these themes are showing up in this track. And I think that's cool. I mean, at the end of the day, can you just listen to this and be like, yeah, dude, this is a great dance song. I'd love to hear it in a club. Just want, just want to dance to it. Yeah, it absolutely works for that. It is not trying to be something more complex, but it does have some thematic components to it. And as usual, I'm a real big fan of walking a fine line between palatability and artistic expression. And I think that this track, while it certainly leans a bit more towards palatability, it does try to walk that line fairly well. As for the lyrics, it says we must go backward to the simple lesson in history that every human being concerned enough, dedicated enough, and willing to make the sacrifice can change the world around them. Then we have the repeated feminine vocal line, to a better place. This idea of just elevating where you are, having the willpower to help create and push forth change in your environment. For a song that is about, in a sense, people coming together and exploring higher levels of subconscious being, the idea of making your surroundings better, of improving the state of this world for everyone, aligns with that really well. It really is a no borders type of mentality, that we are all humans at the end of the day, and we should be doing our best to make our environment and our planet a better place for those around us, and that we are all capable of that. It's a good message. I think it's very concisely stated. It's just this one sample at the beginning of the track repeated a few times, and then the chorus, to a better place, and we're getting somewhere better. There's not a lot of depth to it, but much like the music, it does what it needs to do. It tells its theme, and that's it. There's no way to misinterpret this track. And sometimes simplicity is good in that regard. It removes any vague elements. These are my thoughts then on Astralasia's track Hashishin. I don't like that word, man. I don't know why it's so, I'm looking at the word. I'm like, these syllables make sense to me. Just say them. And my mouth is like, nah, dude, I don't think I'm going to do that today. Anyways, what did you think of this track? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own take, perspective, or opinion on this track? Let me know. Put all of that and anything else you'd like to add into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.